So can you see my screen now? Yes, thanks. Um, I'm sorry for the technical problems we have today. I'm Jimmy from the BNB Chain. Today I'm going to introduce the overview of the BNB Chain, as well as I can also go through the wish list we have for the workshop. So let's get started. So before I started, I'd like to introduce what the BNB Chain. Actually, the BNB Chain actually is a ecosystem that we are going to provide an infrastructure that is open and scalable for anyone to build on. So our vision actually is onboard next billion Web3 users. We hope that this kind of things can be easily built on and also provide the most affordable solutions for the projects. As well as we want to streamline the user experiences and developer experiences to simplify the developer, to make the developer work life easier. So I'd like to introduce the BNB chain by the numbers. Um, First, let me talk about the OPBNB, which is our layer two of the BSC. BSC actually is our layer one network. The OPBNB actually is a layer two network. From the daily transactions perspective, actually, the OPBNB has already be one of the most active network you can find in the Web3 world, which is 71 million transactions per day. And for every transaction cost, I think OPBNB is the one of the lowest among all the layer twos, including, for example, the Base or Arbitrum or Optimism. Actually, this number is built on the current level. We are going to implement the BEP 336, which is similar to the EIP 4844, to introduce the blob carrying transactions, which can reduce the transaction cost of the OPBNB 10 plus lower. So that means the OPBNB will be the most affordable layer two you can find in the market. Um, from the performance perspective, actually, the OPBNB has the capacity of 5,000 transactions TPS at this moment. And we are going to expand the capacity to 10,000 within 2024 by introduce innovations like the parallel EVM and as also the transaction pool optimization and execution optimization. This kind of innovation I will go detail later today. And in January 9th, 2024, actually the BNB has become number one blockchain by DAU, I mean the daily active users. That's the OPBNB. For the BSC, actually, BSC is our, we call it BNB smart chain, which is our DeFi hub within the BNB chain ecosystem. It has more than 4 billion US dollars TVL. I think it's number three at this moment. The TPS of the BSC is 5,000, which is much higher than other EVM layer one network. For example, the EVM or any other layer one. And the cost, the BSC is one of the lowest EVM network. And another thing I want to highlight is our security. Actually, in 2023, in last year, we have reduced 85% of the reduction of losses from exploits in the BNB ecosystem, which is done by our Avenger DAO, which is a community of the security of the BNB chain. I will introduce detail later. So first, I'd like to introduce why we want to build a new paradigm. We call it one BNB, which kind of this paradigm or streamline the whole developer experiences to simplify or abstract away of the complexities of Web3 developers. First, actually, the Web3 application right now basically is the partially on-chain models. For example, the data or the the virtual asset, media files, or any other user interactions, usually not on chain. So right now we are trying to shift from the partially on-chain models to the fully on-chain models, which means the developers can build everything on chain to remove the necessity of the building the off-chain solutions or building off-chain tech stacks. We want to build the one BNB paradigm to provide this kind of the tech stack to manage or simplify this transition. So what is the one BNB? Actually, one BNB actually integrating the BSC, which is our layer one, and OPBNB, which is our layer two, and the BNB Greenfield, which is our decentralized data storage network, to a holistic solution for the Web3 developers to build their applications. So this is the high level, paradigm. What is one BNB looks like? We call it a one-stop dev stack, which means you can build everything for your projects on top of inside of the BNB Chain ecosystem, including I just introduced the OPBNB, BSC, as well as the Greenfield. So just like the traditional Web2 applications, Web3 also have the logical 3 layers. For example, the front end, the business logic, and also the back end. So compared with the current tech stack in one BNB, actually the front end actually is we can call it web hosting services. So actually the BNB Greenfield infrastructure provides this kind of the web hosting services so that you can compile your JavaScript or CSS file and HTML file into a bundle and upload it to the Greenfield to do the web hosting service. So that means you do not have to, build your own, backend servers on the cloud. You can just use the BNB Greenfield infra to build your front end. Besides the front end, the business logic actually can be implemented on the smart contract, on the L1 EVM, which is our BSC, which is layer one or layer two. So the reason between why we have the 2 layer of the business logic is that for the projects who has large or user base or have the frequent transaction interactions on chain, this kind of things can reduce the cost, especially if your projects actually want to sponsor the users' interactions on the chain. So layer 2, actually the OPBNB is a much more affordable solution for the projects. Both of the OPBNB and BSC, layer 1 and layer 2, actually has we call it cross-chain programmability to the BNB Greenfield. So every object stored on the BNB Greenfield can be measured back to the layer 1 and layer 2 smart contract. So you can use the smart contract to manage the object permission. For example, the read-only permission, read and write, or remove some of the user's access, etc. This kind of things can be implemented in the smart contract. So the user can interact with the Greenfield object through the smart contract on the layer 1 or layer 2 of the BNB smart chain or OPBNB. So this kind of cross-chain programmability provides a flexible way to manage your file or manage your data on chain, and at the same time to make sure your data can be fully on chain instead of using off-chain solutions like the traditional cloud object storage like the S3 or any other services. One more thing I want to highlight is that because the Greenfield is hot data friendly, that means once you upload your file, you can update it or you can remove it at any time, just like different from the Airweave or IPFS, which is quite difficult to manage the files on the network. So it's very suitable for your projects who want to manage the data by the application themselves. So this is the detail of the programmability. For example, on left hand, which you can see here, I just take the BSC as a example. The BSC actually, you can see here, between the BSC and the Greenfield, there's a relayer level, a relayer layer that can transfer relay the transactions or relay the events from the BSC to the greenfield and back and forth. So from the user perspective, if you want to interact the greenfield object through your D app, you can just interact with the smart contract on the BSC. So the event on the BSC of the smart contract will be related to the greenfield to manage the object on the side of the BNB greenfield. Or user can directly through the greenfield or SDK or client that they can just operate the objects directly. Of course, the greenfield can be used as a storage, simply as a storage, of course. And this kind of event also can be relayed back to the greenfield, from the greenfield to the BSC to update the status of the BSC smart contract. So this kind of the model can used, to tokenize the data on the greenfield as a NFT. So the NFT can also allow the users to exchange the NFT to change the ownership or permissions. Just like, for example, the virtual assets in the game can be tokenized and then can be exchanged in a global network. Not only assets like an NFT, but also other types of data. For example, the conversation of NPC, in-game NPC, or screenshots, or achievements. These kind of things can be also tokenized or exchanged. Of course, the book can also be tokenized. You can create a smart contract to manage the book and sell your book as a token or as an NFT to the users who can get the permission to read the book by purchasing the NFT. So this kind of things can open a new use case of the data tokenization and data business. Here is our BNB Chain 2024 outlook. You can see here, because today already in May, so basically 40% 2024 has passed. Of course, we have implemented some of them in this roadmap already. For example, the one BNB paradigm has been implemented partially. It's still in progress, but the interoperability between the BSC and OPBNB to the BNB Greenfield has been implemented already. The SDK is still in progress, but it will be fully ready within this year. Another thing I want to highlight is that the BNB Fusion, which is ongoing right now, we are going to discontinue the BNB Beacon Chain and streamline the whole process with the BSC. So basically, you can use you can create validators in the BSC directly without worrying about the Beacon Chain anymore. And all the staking and liquid staking, also the governance can also be natively supported on BNB Smart Chain. And I will go deeper about the high performance EVM, how we are going to implement it in parallel EVM, also optimizing the PBSS, which is the path-based database can simplify and streamline and optimize the performance of the node. Greenfield 2.0 also in progress. It is going to enhance the development experiences and also increasing the storage provider performance by 5 times. This could increase the whole user experiences and the developer experiences of the greenfield very much. Another thing I want to highlight is that the scalability is also in progress. We want to, just as I mentioned, we want to increase the TPS to 10K TPS, and also the gas limit of the block of the OPBNB to 200 million per second, which is a very large number and can support the higher frequent user interactions on the OPBNB. So this is the high level of the BNB Chain 2024 outlook. I will go deeper about the technical innovations, what we are trying to do. So first, I'm going to introduce the BNB Chain PBS, which is the proposer and builder separation and MEV solution. It's a part of the the BNB Chain Fusion, just in this slide. So we are going to introduce the MEV boost based solution as a sidecar to the validators. The only difference between the BNB Chain PBS and all the Ethereum PBS is that we do not have the relayer in the middle because the security model of the BNB chain and also the block time is different from the Ethereum. So we just only have the sidecar of the validator, which is the proposer and builder separated. So users or any traders can send transactions through the searchers to the builder as a private order flow to the MEV boost and the validators directly. So these kind of things can protect users from the attacking, like the sandwich attacking or front running or back end running attacks, and make the MEV or block space market more transparent. So this is the detail, the detailed process of the PBS of BNB chain. So every builders in this paradigm, in this uh, process, every builders has to register with the validators first before it can submit a bid to the different validators. Actually, each builder can separate register itself for different validators, and after the registration, the builder can submit the bid, and through the MEV Sentry, which is a protection between the validators and the public network. And the MEV Sentry will forward that request to the validators. And the validators will select the most profitable bid from different builders to, to decide which block which transactions will be included in the next block. And it will retrieve the transactions of the build after, if the bid is selected, and retrieve the transactions. And the MEV Sentry will append the payment transactions, to pay the validators to include the transactions. Of course, the validators also execute the transactions in the bid to verify all the transactions is in good shape and notify the builders if something is wrong. And if everything's fine, it will seal a block into the BNB chain block in the BSC. So you can see here on the right hand, you can see the MEV Sentry is in the middle between the builders and the external builders, validators and the external builders. Of course, the MEV Sentry is optional. Is optional. Of course, you can just directly connect with the builders to the validators. It depends on how the builder is implemented. We can provide the flexible solutions to the builder developers as well. This is a use case of the PBS, which is we call the EOA gasless solution. It's not only for the BSC, but also for the OPBNB, because I know the OPBNB right now has a centralized sequencer. Of course, we can also separate the builder and the sequencer as a proposer for the OPBNB as well. So the logic is same for the BSC and OPBNB. So from this point of view, as a Web3 users, you can make a transaction without a gas fee, right? For free. So this transaction will be included as a bundle by the paymaster service, which is the RPC endpoint. Then forward the bundle to the builder, and the builder will include the transaction bundle into the block and seal the block and propose to send to the builder or send to the proposer to include it in the next block. So that's the reason why we can implement the gasless solution for the users. This is very useful because we believe that the EOA will last for at least 1 or 2 years in the future, or even longer, before the smart contract will be the first citizen. So we want to have this kind of the solution to help the projects to build the gasless solutions for their users. Even the user are using MetaMask or Trust Wallet or any other traditional, the EOA account. This kind of things can be covered. This is another thing I want to highlight is the BNB blob storage solution, which is different from Ethereum because different from Ethereum, the BNB chain will only have the execution layer. We do not have the consensus layer, just like Ethereum. So the blob will be saved in the execution layer client as well. So you can see here the sidecar and the verification, the extra data actually is in the client execution layer. Of course, we do have the separate transaction. One is the legacy transaction pool. Another thing is the blob transaction pool. So layer two transaction, or layer two sequencers, or any blob users that they can, send the blob transactions to the execution layer, execution client of the BSC to include the blob data. Same as the Ethereum, the blob data will be saved on chain for a while, and then will be deleted. It's not a permanent storage, just like the Ethereum. On the BNB Greenfield, we also provide a proxy service to provide the permanent solution of the blob data to guarantee the pruned blob data can be permanently retrieved from a service. This kind of things has been implemented, and for any chains who are going to use the old blob data can also use that kind of proxy service which is built on top of the BNB Greenfield. But for the layer two on top of the BSC, I think the current level of the data is enough, and they can build the layer two on top of the BSC easily, and reduce the cost of the layer two as well. So this is already online in our testnet of the BSC. It will be online in June in mainnet. So basically, all the layer two of the BSC will enjoy the benefits of the blob carrying transactions to reduce the cost even further. So next, I want to introduce the parallel EVM. I think the parallel EVM is not a new thing. Actually, it's just this is the high-level introduction of how the parallel EVM works. So basically, the transaction pool, the execution instance will pick up the transactions and execute the transactions and submit the transaction result. But the parallel actually is difficult to implement this because not all the transactions can be run without a conflict. So there must be a conflict detection mechanism before the transaction result will be passed to the state DB. So if there is a transaction conflict, for example, if I transfer my token to one of my friends, and then I transfer the same token to another friend, this kind of the two transactions is conflict each other. So it cannot be run in parallel. So the conflict detection will find that, hey guys, these two transactions are conflicting each other. You have to rerun it again, right? So this kind of mechanism is the bottleneck of the parallel EVM. So how are we going to solve this problem? For BNB Chain, we do have different version of the parallel EVM. In this paragraph, you can see that we have 1.0, 1.0 plus, and 2.0. So we are going to implement in different stages. So parallel EVM 1 and the 1 plus has been implemented in last year. So in this diagram, you can see the feature in gray and in yellow has been implemented already. For example, the transaction execution, the conflict detection, dispatcher, this kind of things, and faster IPC and parallel state DB has been online. What we are doing right now is the version 2.0, actually including the dispatcher 2.0 and the conflict detector, the new version of conflict detector, and streaming pipeline, etc., will be implemented in this version. So how it will look like after the new version has been online? So it is kind of the hint generator. It's kind of the hint-based parallel EVM. So basically, we'll utilize the external hint generator from the transaction pool to detect the potential conflict hints and forward the hints to the dispatcher. So that means the dispatcher before dispatch the transactions to the execution instances, the conflict will be detected. I would say most of the conflict will be detected. So the dispatcher will know how to dispatch the transactions to the different execution instances. It can reduce the possibility of the execution conflicts. So the conflict detector will also send back the hints to the dispatcher to update the hints in the dispatcher. So this kind of logic will be implemented in the new version of the parallel EVM, which can increase the performance of the parallel EVM very much. So it can resolve the the performance bottleneck, and also increase the whole efficiency of the BNB chain ecosystem. And in this paradigm, you can also see the state DB also is implemented in the parallel state DB, which can have a better performance when we execution the transactions in parallel. So this is the innovations we are bringing to the BNB chain ecosystem within 2024. Of course, you can. It's not something. All of the innovations we have introduced to the BNB chain ecosystem. You can also find the details from our BNB chain forum, and also provide your feedbacks and also your thoughts how to support the developers more better. This kind of the suggestions or feedbacks are very welcome, so that we can have a deeper discussion in the forum as well. Now I'm going to introduce some of the incentives, including the financial incentives and non-financial incentives for the DApp developers. First is the financial incentives and ecosystem support. We do have the MVP, which is the most valuable builder program, and also we do have the DAU incentives and the TVL incentives. It depends on how your projects is going to implement it on the BNB chain ecosystem. It includes the grants and kickstart programs and other technical support and exclusive developer mentorship, these kind of things. Of course, co-marketing is also possible, so that you can reach out. If you are a builder, you can just reach out to the BNB chain team, and we can define which incentives is most appropriate for your projects. This is how the most valuable builder works. Actually, we do have two tracks. One is the founder track, and the other one is startup track. Basically, it's a venture studio. The founder track is a venture studio that committed to incubating ideas that address real world needs. And the startup track actually advise new startups to accelerate their growth. So this kind of the builder, most of MVP program will help you to build your projects. It has already accelerated more than 80 projects since 2021. This is how Builder Grounds works. You can actually, just as I mentioned, we provide the financial support and also non-financial support. You can also find our area of focus from our wish list, which is the GitHub repo, and you can find in our BNB GitHub repository to find out what we are trying to focus at this moment from the ecosystem perspective. Yeah, this is the DAU incentives. Actually, we provide the financial support who can increase the exposure and DAU build on the BSC and OPBNB, of course, and TVL, which amplify the projects to incentive the TVL growth on the BSC. Again, as I mentioned earlier, actually the BSC is our DeFi hub, which we focus on the TVL and financial applications. The OPBNB actually is our execution layer, which focus on the high performance execution and the transactions, which which is the DAU focus. Actually, the DAU and TVL programs have some recipients like the KiloX and the Kinza, Hooped World of DPNs, this kind of things. You can also find the detailed information from our website. Also, this is the Kickstart, and all the projects can get connected with the infrastructure and the service providers, like the security auditors, cloud service API, etc. And you can also find this kind of the essential tools and services at our doc site. Finally, I'd like to highlight the security of the BNB chain. Just I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this presentation, actually, we do have a Avenger DAO. We call it Avenger DAO. Actually, it's a community that unites all the, our partners to protect the user from, from hacking or from spamming, this kind of things. Avenger DAO also provide the alerts and real-time risk scanner for smart contracts. So you can, use the latest information from Avenger DAO to protect your users if you build on the BNB chain. And also, Avenger DAO achieved 85% reduction in total financial losses on the BNB chain last year, which is a really, really a good achievement compared with other chains. And DApp, it's another thing I want to mention is that it's a DApp library that allows users to navigate within the BNB chain ecosystem. Yeah, finally, I just put our QR code here. You can scan our QR code to get connected with us. Yeah, that's pretty much I have right now. Yeah, this is how the BNB chain looks like. And again, you are welcome to build on top of the BNB chain and also share your thoughts within our BNB chain forum and connect with us. For the workshop, I'm going to introduce the wish list of the workshop. Just to give me a sec. Can you see that? Okay. So in this workshop, we are going to have two challenges. Of course, you can see the requirements of the workshop. The first thing I want to highlight is that it must be open sourced, and the code can be found in the GitHub public repository, and also needs to be developed for this workshop. You cannot use the old projects for the submission. And another thing is that the smart contract has been deployed to the BNB chain, either or on the OPBNB and a BSC. Both of them are fine. Of course, if you can use the BNB Greenfield, that's a bonus as well. So here are the two challenges. The first one is the stablecoin payments on the BNB chain. So we are looking for a project who can, develop a on-chain payment solutions to facilitate the mass adoption. So payment solution actually provide a, better user experiences for the non-Web3 native users. For example, the users can log in with their own social media accounts, for example, the Google account or Apple account, and they do not have to worry about the complexities of the Web3. They can just use it as a normal application, and they can recover the accounts using their email or social media, and also enable the users making payments effortlessly. And if necessary, the user can also split the bills. And you can think of it as a stablecoin focused. And we also, just as I mentioned earlier, we do also have the, let me go back to we do have the gasless solution. So if you can integrate the gasless solution into the payment system, that will be better for the users that the non-Web3 native users do not have to worry about the gas fees. They can just start using it directly. So this is the first stablecoin payments. It will be better if you can build a mobile first application on Android or iOS. So it depends on what your target users are. The challenge two actually is a little bit more complex. We call it on-chain credit system for the BNB chain. So the usage of this application is to provide a references or provide a snapshot for the users who have the active engagement with the BNB chain. So for example, if I'm a user, if I make a transaction on the BNB chain, including the BSC, OPBNB, or BNB Greenfield. For example, if I upload the file to the BNB Greenfield, or if I make a swap on a BSC, or make a transaction, or call a smart contract to update the state of the BNB. So these kind of things can be used to calculate the credit for my account. So the credits can be used for airdrop or any other promotion campaign. That if I want to do an airdrop, I can know which accounts are most active. We can define a reasonable threshold who can claim the tokens for which project. These kind of things can have a transparent data. And another thing I want to highlight is that developer contribution also be included. For example, if I can define a list of repository, if anyone contribute to the repository of the BNB chain, this kind of efforts can also be, calculated for the can also be counted for the credits for the future airdrop. So this is a challenge number 2. I know it is better that you can build this kind of the credits on chain. But I know this kind of things could be more expensive. Off-chain solution is also, acceptable. Yeah, this is the 2 challenges we have for this workshop. Of course, it is open for any new idea or useful idea for on top of the BNB chain. So you do not have to restrict yourself to these 2 challenges. You can also have other innovative solutions or projects on the BNB chain. So the key point is that if you build your application or projects on the BNB chain, that will be acceptable for this workshop. Yeah, this is 2 challenges, just 2 focus we want to give you a reference. So what we are trying to looking for, what we are trying to solve for the BNB chain from the ecosystem, just for your references here. Yeah, that's all I have. Any questions? You can just put into the. I'm sorry, I cannot hear you, but you can put the questions in the text.
If there's any questions, feel free.
So if no other questions, I think we can conclude here.
Yes, it looks like there's no questions. Thank you, Jimmy, so much for walkthrough and amazing talk. And we're super excited to have BNB with us. So we are super excited to see both you guys at the hackathon, and we are super excited to see hackers and what they come up with during the hackathon itself. Thank you for staying tuned in, and see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. See you at the BNB Belgrade.